Hello, Pony. Snogwritts here. I recently just finished reading Written Scripts Bad Day by the Bricklayer, and I do have a lot of thoughts about this fic. So, without further ado, let's get right to it. Okay, so let's start with the main character, Written Script, a grumpy old stallion. The fic starts off with Written Script receiving a letter from his cousin, Raindrops. She needed a place to stay after some unfortunate events, and it seems that Script hasn't really gotten ready yet. Huh? Who could that be? Hold on, fellow viewer. He'll be just a moment. Come in! Who would ever come with this? Diamond Tiara! Get out! Don't you act dumb with me. You know exactly why I'm upset. Dragons and ponies don't mix. Scram! And never come back! I'm so sorry you had to see that. I haven't lost my temper like that in a while. Hey, is that a box she left? Ugh! I swear if it's another chick... I swear that filly... back to the review. This fic shows a great storyline, especially for a slice-of-life fic. The plot flows and created an interesting scenario for the story, so, regards to the author for that. Although, something bothers me about this fic. The beginning was... could be better. But the author did do a good job to introduce us to the main character, but sometimes I feel like these details don't really contribute to the story. In other words, these were irrelevant details. Think of irrelevant details as menacing beasts eating up the value and interest of your story. There are some things I don't really need to know in order to relate to this character. I could tell that the author was very focused on making the character relatable as possible, but sometimes less is more in writing. Remember, you want to engage your reader, not bore them with irrelevant details. Stories come out of relationships. To the author who wrote this fic, if you want to reveal a lot about your character, set them in a critical incident or conversation. In fact, you've already done this. Let me give an example. When making friendships, you don't need to know absolutely everything about the person. Now that I think about it, that sounds kinda creepy, but still. You can know so much information prior to meeting some pony, but if you have an actual conversation with them, it reveals a lot more. In writing, you need to trust yourself as much as you trust your reader. Writing these abundant details time to time could sometimes make them feel like the writer is holding their hand and not trusting on their intelligence. In fact, this leads to my next point. The plot may be well placed together, but the pacing was a bit slow. Good pacing is essential to keep your reader interested. Again, irrelevant details. Be confident when you're writing. If you fail at first, try again. Every story is a learning opportunity. Just learn from your mistakes and you'll prosper. I know I say this all the time, but you don't know how many authors forget this. There's one more thing though. The story's conflict was definitely well put together. It really reveals the main character's true self. Overall, the story was decent, definitely well put together, but the story wasn't engaging. So, I'm going to give this fanfic 2 quills out of 5. Thanks for watching, fellow viewer. Be sure to share the video and leave a like if you liked it. And, if you haven't already, subscribe for more reviews like this one every Tuesday. Alright, that's it for me. This is Snogwritts, signing out.